The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, Superbad.
Would you like some help with your groceries?
Well, that would be lovely, young man. Would you like me to buy you alcohol?
That would be lovely. Enjoy your remaining years.
I will.
Blockbuster comedies about the arrested development of the man boy.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
All R-rated, and the R doesn't stand for refined.
The girl, she totally gave me an opening, man, and I was locked up.
Are you f***ing crazy, man? She looks smart.
Action!
How would you describe a Judd Apatow comedy?
Well, there's usually not any incredibly smart characters because I don't know how smart people talk because I don't talk that good.
Hey, we'll have a contest so you can hold the breath the longest?
So there's profanity and sometimes it's sexual and there's a lot of idiots involved. But it's really just about people trying to figure out how to do better.
People like Andy Stitzer, the hapless electronics store clerk played by Steve Carell.
I'm all right.
Who at age 40 is still a virgin.
I respect women. I love women. I respect them so much that I completely stay away from them.
Okay. People want to connect. They're just scared to do it. That's what the 40-Year-Old Virgin's about. He wants to connect. He just thinks people are going to tell him he's a freak. So he hides in his room.
Hey, hi.
Apatow followed that with 2007's Knocked Up, starring Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl, who, after a drunken one-night stand, find themselves unexpectedly expectant.
Yeah, it looks like you are pregnant. About 8 or 9 weeks, I'd say. Congratulations.
After moving from sex...
Hey, wait, do you have protection?
I don't like guns.
...to childbirth... Apatow has continued on to death with his newest film, Funny People.
I'm not great at sex, so at the end of every time I gotta go, normally I do better than that. Girlfriends are so much better. You'd finish up and you're just like, well, you know.
Adam Sandler plays a stand-up comic suddenly facing mortality.
Well, your immune system is in the middle of a very serious battle.
I'm dying.
George, in Funny People, he doesn't want to connect with people. He wants to get approval. And getting sick makes him realize he has no one to actually connect with. Even though he's one of the biggest stars in the world, he literally has no one to call. And the only person he can connect with is a young punk that he hires to be his assistant and to write him jokes.
Hey, you want to talk to me while I try to fall asleep?
He pays for someone to hang out with him.
You're hiding some Judaism.
I don't think I can hide that. My face is circumcised.
Much of the material in Apatow's movies stem from his own experiences. And as a former stand-up comic, he says this is his most personal film to date.
Each movie is something that I'm thinking about, I mean, in the broadest terms. This is what I'm thinking about now. Comedy, what does it mean to do this? What's the value of it?
So I think we have discussed this, and I'm very, very sympathetic to your recovery, and I hope we will succeed with what we're doing.
I've been trying to build this cabinet I bought from you guys for like 6 months. I got it.
IKEA? That's very funny.
Is it great to make people in the world laugh and give them moments of respite from the pain of their day, or is it just like me? Like me.
People certainly seem to like his movies. They've grossed more than $1 billion. But Apatow, the director, seems less than content.
I don't think what will work. I think what won't work. What am I doing that's not working? And what should I get now to fix it later? So in a way, I'm shooting the reshoots as I'm shooting the scene. Okay. Ultimately, we want this to kind of compress. So I shot about 2 million feet of film for Funny People. And most movies are about like 600,000 feet of film. Because in my head, I think I better get more stuff. Because what if it's not funny? We shot this with 3 cameras.
Just weeks before the movie's release, during this sound mixing session, Apatow plays the concerned parent.
So this playback, this is part of the process of letting go.
Yes, because after we get through these 20 minutes, I can never touch this 20 minutes ever again.
Ooh. If he seems unsure of his success, that's because even at the young age of 41, Apatow's traveled a long road. At age 10, he was already a student of comedy.
I became obsessed with the Marx Brothers really early on.
You would tape record Saturday Night Live.
I did, because there was no video recorders back then. And it was live, and you thought, if I miss it, they may never even rerun it ever again. So this is important to get it on tape.
Raised on Long Island, he was 13 when his parents split up.
How awful was that?
Well, for me, you know, the thing about divorce was it was the moment when you realized that your parents didn't know everything. And that drew me to comedy, because comedy was a way of trying to work out, you know, does the world make sense?
An enterprising teen, Apatow interviewed stand-up standouts like Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld for his high school radio station. Here's his interview with comic Paul Reiser.
Now that you're doing movies, big stuff, you're doing stand-up, what do you find you enjoy more, doing the movies or the stand-up?
I enjoy sleeping late.
As soon as he could, he moved to L.A. to try his own hand at stand-up.
I'm not a bad-looking guy. I'm just good-looking enough that if I had a good personality, it could push me over the top, if I had it.
His roommate, a then unknown Adam Sandler.
Judd is very enthusiastic about comedy.
We sat down with Sandler, along with Funny People co-stars Seth Rogen and Leslie Mann.
He was the only comedian out of all of us that would come home excited about another guy being great. You know? we were all just like, oh man, I better get going and rework my game. We're angry someone was better than us. Judd would just come on. Did you see? Oh my God, he killed!
While comedy was his calling, stand-up, not so much.
To be a great comic, you usually have to be very angry. And I wasn't that angry. You know, I was a Jewish boy from Long Island. Things didn't go that bad for me to really have the juice to get all worked up.
So Apatow turned full-time to writing for others. Roseanne, his buddy Adam Sandler, and Gary Shandling. Then, in 1999, Apatow collaborated on a TV series.
I hate high school.
About outcasts at a Michigan high school.
Freaks and Geeks, you know, was a turning point because it was the first time that, you know, as we started kicking around ideas, I thought, oh, maybe that thing that happened to me might also be interesting.
Loneliness starts sinking in.
Like the autobiographical episode he wrote about a teen misfit returning to an empty house, flipping on the Dinah Shore talk show, and finding solace in the comedy of Gary Shandling.
At some point I realized, oh, the simple, really difficult struggles of life are fascinating. So I stopped trying to think of high concepts for comedy, and I try to think of, you know, relatable, high-stakes issues that everybody has to deal with at some point.
His life and material have only gotten richer with his 12-year marriage to actress Leslie Mann.
Do you feel like your home life is constantly being mined for material?
I think the two of us like to do that together. We like to mine our own lives and talk about it, and I don't feel like he's snatching my, you know, experiences away from me. I'm happy to give them.
Why don't you not threaten me?
Take this all-too-real scene from Knocked Up.
Get out of the car in the middle of nowhere. No.
Get out of the car.
No.
I own this car. Get out of my car.
No.
So when your wife kicks you out of the car on the way to the gynecologist, you have to think to yourself, does this mean I can go home, or do I have to somehow find a way to get there? Because I might get in more trouble if I don't show up.
And what did you do?
That's when you're looking for cabs in the middle of La Brea Boulevard.
No, nothing's going on around here.
Don't mock me. I don't appreciate it.
His wife has equal billing with Sandler and Rogen in Funny People. But make no mistake, the Apatow stable of stars is pretty much a guy's club.
When are you going to write the movie with the big female lead?
I may be missing the part to make them, or I have the part you don't need to make them, if you will.
But that distinct perspective has fueled a movie-making juggernaut.
At this point, I have achieved an enormous amount of the goals. You know, to be a comic, to make some movies, to have people like some of the movies. So it really does feel like, okay, you can relax now.
You do seem really happy.
I am happy, and if I'm not happy, I should be punched in the face, right? There's no reason for me not to be.